And that, amongst all the other reasons I have discussed throughout this retrospective, is why Saban's Adventures of the Little Mermaid is my favorite version of the fairy tale. Again, I am not trying to hype this show up as some sort of forgotten masterpiece, but rather an overlooked gem. Even when you compare it to the other shows that debuted in 1991, it barely made it into my top 5 as it had to compete with Darkwing Duck, Taz-Mania, The Legend of Prince Valiant, and The Pirates of Darkwater, which is easily my favorite animated series from that year. But this show still manages to stand out as special because more so than any other series I watched as a child, I felt that this was made especially for me. When I look back at the vast majority of my favorite shows that really stuck with me throughout the years, I very rarely went in expecting great things from them. I only wanted to be entertained, and I seldom realized they were going to go down as classics until after I watched them. I never knew I wanted a dark and gritty reboot of Sonic the Hedgehog until I stumbled across it one fateful Saturday morning. There are a few shows I did feel were made for me, like how the Real Ghostbusters was the answer to my prayers for a good cartoon based on the movie. There's also Mighty Max and War Planets. Unlike other merchandise-driven shows such as Beast Wars Transformers or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, where I would collect the toys because I loved the shows, I watched those series because I collected the toys, so it was very special watching them brought to life, especially Mighty Max, as the episodes featured either toys I already had or ones that I was looking for. The other biggest example is Fox's Peter Pan and the Pirates, but even that was just based on the vague notion of wanting more Peter Pan stories. With Saban's Little Mermaid, it always felt as if the producers knew all about my complaints with the Disney series and were like, "We heard all your problems with that other Little Mermaid show. You felt the characters were never in any real danger? Here's the Little Mermaid almost dying of a broken heart in the first episode. You missed the prince? Now he gets to save the Little Mermaid as often as she saves him. Tired of the series taking place underwater almost 100% of the time? That's never going to happen here. Sick of villains that feel toned down? Here's a sea witch capable of being even more evil than Ursula.
My faith in villainkind is restored.
And will throw in her origin for free. The only way a show could have possibly been more tailor-made for me would be if there was an animated series based on my favorite toy line, Z-Bots, that addressed the tragic implications of the backstory on the toy boxes about how the evil Z-Bots turned bad because they were infected with a virus, meaning this was a war with no real villains, only victims.
Pretty heavy philosophical stuff for a cartoon show.
That's why Return to the Sea is one of my favorite anime pilots ever. I initially tuned in on a lark, thinking that it couldn't possibly be worse than the Disney series, only to find that in just half an hour, it managed to address and fix every single problem I had with it while still telling an original and engaging version of the fairy tale. Seeing Marina almost die was very much a stuff got real moment for me as a kid. And while I do think that it is a legitimately good cliffhanger for a commercial break, the reason it hit so hard back then was because the Disney series set the bar so low you could stub your toe on it. The difference between good and bad writing can sometimes be as simple as thinking, how are the characters going to get out of this one, versus thinking about how the characters are going to get out of this one. If you gave me access to the chronology of all other shows and asked me when Saban's Little Mermaid was made, I would have figured 1993. That would have put it a year after Disney's Little Mermaid show and a year before their Aladdin one. It felt like a transitional series, the missing link covering the huge jump in quality from Disney's first spin-off series to their second. I grew up thinking that this show raised the bar for what you could do with a series based on a fairy tale, and Disney realized their mistake when they saw it, which explained why their Aladdin series was as good as it could possibly be. Imagine my shock when I learned that this came out a year before Disney's Little Mermaid show. That fact makes the Saban series look even better because it shows that they valued all the essential parts of the Little Mermaid going into it and were not simply trying to do the opposite of what Disney did. It would have also made the Disney series so much worse if I had seen this first. The thought of seeing this.
I knew then that I had no choice. I stripped Hedwig of her power and beauty, then banished her to the sea. If she can ever find it in her heart to renounce her quest for evil, I will restore her to her former glory. Then maybe we can find the love we lost so long ago.
Replaced by this.
I want to do magic, but when I get the chance, I just don't shine. Then everybody gets mad at me. Are you gonna get mad at me?
You better believe it, Mun! Come on, put up your points!
I just can't even. I sincerely hope that none of the production staff for Saban's Little Mermaid ever watched the Disney series, because if I saw that this was what my series had lost to, I would have been pretty ticked off.
Why are you the way that you are? Honestly, every time I try to do something fun or exciting, you make it not that way.
We need more Little Mermaid adaptations like Saban's that don't try to follow the original story or simply rip off Disney, but rather forge their own path. My most anticipated anime of 2026 is Goodbye Lara, about the Little Mermaid being reborn in the modern day after the tragic ending of the original story. I am of course concerned about whether it will end happily or not, but I'm just happy to see what will hopefully be another imaginative and unique take on the story. And who knows, maybe I'll do my own version of The Little Mermaid someday. I would love it if Saban's Little Mermaid could somehow return with one more season to finish off the story. But sadly, the closest we are probably ever going to get to a revival of it is H2O Mermaid Adventures. It's really not anything like it, being about 3 human girls who gain the ability to transform into mermaids after swimming in a magical pool. The only reason I am even mentioning it is because one of the girls is voiced by Marina herself, Sonja Ball, and she is shipped with a boy who is voiced by none other than Justin's voice actor, our old friend Thor Bishoprick. The dude just can't escape being cast in mermaid stories, can he?
What do I know about mermaids? And up until today, I didn't even believe in them, so it might just be that you're all just fine and I'm hallucinating.
Louis, you're the only one who can help us. Because not only are you really a genius, but you're the only one who knows our secret.
Okay, Cleo, I'll get to work on it.
The reason I say this is that Disney bought out the entirety of Saban when they acquired Power Rangers, which you would think meant that poor Marina was destined to be caught in a net tied with weights that would drag her down to the bottom of the sea where she would never be heard from again. But despite their immense hubris, they were big enough to let Saban's Little Mermaid as well as Peter Pan and the Pirates, which they also acquired, air on their Jetix channel for a time. If that wasn't enough recognition for shows you'd think they wouldn't want to bring any attention to, they both have DVD releases in foreign countries. Fox's Peter Pan has a measly 5-episode best of DVD in the UK, and the first 34 episodes released on a French DVD, which is a little over half the series. But it's the most expensive out-of-print DVD I have ever seen. Saban's Little Mermaid fared much better, as the first 15 episodes were released on 3 Region 2 DVDs, which was enough to make this review even remotely possible. Still, I think it sucks that some copies of Volume 2 have the Golden Films Little Mermaid on the cover instead of Saban's. How can you make such a mistake? Thankfully, the copy I have of Volume 2 features the correct Little Mermaid on it. Even better, the entire series has been released in France across 2 DVD sets with 13 episodes each on them. I got the second half, which not only has the 11 episodes I was missing, it has a beautiful cover which is one of my favorite DVD box set covers ever. It's surprising to see that Saban's Little Mermaid is better preserved than Disney's Little Mermaid show, which only has a measly 4 episodes on 4 different DVDs. It's almost like Saban had the last laugh despite their initial defeat. I am actually working on restoring the series by isolating the audio for the English episodes uploaded online and playing it over rips from the French DVD. I used clips from several of my initial attempts made for personal viewing throughout this review because some key moments would otherwise be presented in terrible quality. I am honored to have not only done an in-depth retrospective on this series focusing on the positives, but to also help ensure that it can be watched in the best quality possible because nobody else is interested in preserving it.
You want something done, you've got to do it yourself.
Saban's Little Mermaid may have been a commercial failure on its initial release, but compared to the Disney series, it was an artistic victory. This show deserves more love as both a legitimate Little Mermaid adaptation and an entertaining show in its own right. I introduced it to some of my artist friends, and they all ended up watching the entire series. From the lows of my 2 least favorite episodes to the highs of seeing the origin of the Sea Witch and Marina having to fight her true love, we shared it all. They actually liked it so much that they started drawing fan art of the characters, ranging from gifting me a picture of my Maximo and Ghosts and Goblins inspired OC Lady Kokoro for my birthday, showing her swimming alongside Marina and Justin while wearing a special outfit that allows her to breathe underwater indefinitely, to one guy who was so disappointed by the lack of an ending that he commissioned his idea of what the wedding in the grand finale would look like, complete with a reformed Dudley and even Winnie turned into a human like him. This shows that there is still an audience for the series, and there should be. While definitely not for everybody, I like to think that I've shown there is some merit to it. I have certainly spent long enough talking about its strengths.
Time to go back. Goodbye for now, Justin. I had a wonderful time. Let's go, Dudley.
The only problem I have with the DVDs is that none of the episodes feature the awesome song that played over the credits. Even in English, it's just an instrumental of the opening, which is nice but nowhere near as good. I know it only came in at number 2 on my top 12 outros list, but it is the most nostalgic outro for me. Every time I heard the song start as a kid, I was saddened as it meant that the show was over. I felt almost as bad as Justin because I was like, "No, Marina, don't leave. Your show is so much better than Ariel's. Disney plays it 5 times a week and it sucks." But despite that, I always appreciated how atmospheric it was, capturing the prince's sadness at how his Little Mermaid has to leave, as well as his hope to enjoy just a little more time with her. I will make sure that it plays at the end of all the episodes I restore because it's up to the fans to keep the memory of it alive along with the rest of the show.
There's a lonely stretch of sand down by the waterside. I can feel it drawing me like the pull of the ocean tide. As hard as waiting for Marina is trying to pull away. Yes, I know she has to go, but I hear myself say, just a little bit more, just a little more time. Oh, Marina, please stay, say you'll always be mine. Just a little bit more, just a little more time. Oh, Marina, please stay, say you'll always be mine. Just a little bit more.
Loneliness,
A missile that can find him, he will never feel. His wings are his protection, like a shield of steel. Is that thing